With the business news there. Let's switch across to Belle Lupton, who's going to take us through the front pages of the international press this morning. Belle,
yes, I am.
Welcome back. We're going to start in Italy, of course. We've been headlining on this. This is the strong language being used by the mayor of Palermo in Sicily. How has this been received by the European press?
Well, unsurprisingly, it's making waves way further than the Italian shores. The UK's Independent interviews Leoluca Orlando, who is that mayor. He says in the future, the EU will be held responsible for this genocide, exactly like we held Nazi fascism responsible for genocide 70 years ago. So very strong language there. He blames the European governments for failing to provide safe passage for people who are fleeing war and crisis and persecution. He says himself, when history records this, I wish to be able to say that I was not complicit. So perhaps a personal appeal there from someone who's really at the coalface of this migrant crisis, watching thousands of migrants appearing on his shores last year. Now, in Corriere della Sera, an Italian paper now slightly left of centre, it focuses on Brussels' response. So there the headline says, Brussels ups the rhetoric, no country can stay alone. The paper reports that the EU has praised Italy for saving lives, but now we need a European approach. It goes on to explain Brussels' exasperation at leaders like David Cameron, who refused to take in their share, in inverted commas, of these refugees, but now want to say in EU policy.
So a debate that's not likely to die down anytime soon. And of course, throughout Europe, the debate centering on how we treat these migrants, refugees, whatever you want to call them. They're fleeing violence in North Africa, but you found a novel approach in the German press. Tell us more about that.
Yes, so this is a German TV presenter, Anja Reschke, who used her regular editorial slot on a TV news programme to express her outrage. You can see her there at the hate-filled commentators whose language has helped incite arson attacks on refugee homes. The headline that we've got there is her saying, when you call people dirt, that's Nazi jargon. So she is not mincing her words either. She said that she was shocked at how socially acceptable it had become to publish racist rants under people's real names. So people get likes, she says, on social networks for phrases like filthy vermin should drown in the sea. She says here, if up until then you had been a racist little nobody, of course you suddenly feel great. That's in her commentary. She's saying that, you know, if you're getting all these likes, surely you're feeling fantastic about it. The segment went viral within minutes of being broadcast, and by Thursday afternoon, it had been viewed more than 9 million times. She calls on it on decent Germans to act. She says, if you're not of the opinion that all refugees are sponges who should be hunted down, burned or gassed, then you should make that known. Oppose it, open your mouth, maintain an attitude and pillory people in public. Now, her warning comes a day after the German head of intelligence warned that a small number of right-wing extremists in Germany are threatening to escalate the situation, and possibly we may see a wave of attacks shortly.
That's worrying stuff indeed. Well, one of the North African countries that's been affected by violence across its border, need a launching point for many of these refugees, is of course Tunisia, Tunisia and Libya, of course.
Absolutely.
There's an article in the US press suggesting the problem isn't just Tunisia's, though, isn't there?
No, absolutely. This is an opinion piece in the Washington Post, which urges the US to act quickly to help Tunisia. And it gives the reasons why. So the writers say that if we do not do more and do it quickly, 10 years from now, the US will bitterly regret that it failed to act when it had the chance to help Tunisia build an inclusive, prosperous and lasting democracy. Now, it points out that, as you did as well, that Tunisia has a long border with Libya, where, of course, it calls it a rough neighbourhood, where, of course, there's war going on the other side. It's also facing a terrorist onslaught. So 2 attacks in the past 3 months, which killed more than 50 people. And the writers in the Washington Post say these were clearly calculated to wreck the economy and undermine the morale of Tunisians, and they may well succeed. To stop this, it bullet points the areas in which the US should help Tunisia. One of these is that formal negotiations, it said, should begin immediately towards a US-Tunisian free trade agreement. Now, this comes 2 months after Tunisia's president appealed to the White House for more help when he was visiting there in May.
And we'll finish up with an American story. We can't escape this one, really. Of course, it's the US Republican race that kicked off last night in a tremendous style, with those hoping to stand for president on the Republican ticket. And there's only one man we're really talking about this morning, and that's Donald Trump.
It's always Trump. And the Daily Beast casts the whole thing as a boxing fight. So fight night, Trump versus Rand, because they began with a slinging match. The article goes on to say that the moderator, Fox News' Megyn Kelly, then called out Trump on his sexism, to which he responded, "I don't have time for political correctness, and nor do I think does the country." Slate goes on to give us the meanest insults that Donald Trump came up with throughout the debate. One of these is, "Our leaders are stupid." He called the last months of Bush's administration a catastrophe. And he said, "We have a president who doesn't have a clue. I would say he's incompetent, but I don't want to do that because it's not nice."
Well, not mincing his words at all, and it seems to be having the desired effect.